because of my previous recording it got crashed and continue from there. Okay, so now let's say in 2001 or 2001 my company every see you, when you start a company there will be a growth, right? Definitely. So I'll be having 2 million records. So I'll be having 2 million records in 2001. So now what we'll be having now, 2 into 10 tables equal to 20 million for 2001. So now the total records will be 30 million records in a table. Okay, in these tables I'll be having 30 million records. So when you have 30 million records, then what happens when the number of records get increased? The users, when see, if in a table, if they are having 1000 records, you can directly write a select query and you will be getting a data easily, and you can easily update 1000 records, right? If you want to update where id equal to 1, when there are 1000 records you can easily update. Let's say when there are some millions of records, for selecting and for updating it will take some time. Okay, by default for selecting and for updating it will take some time. The same way, yeah, the same way here, when the number of records got increased, the 50 users, for the 50 users, when they try to update and insert, it will take some time. And even the users who want to build a report, who want to pull the data, they will also, it will take some time for them. Okay, with 30 million is not a big deal. Okay, let's, after 10 years, in 2010 the records got increased to 20 million in 2010, and the record will be 20 into 10 equal to 200 million records. Okay, 200 million, and until the 20 million, up to that you may be having like 400 or 500 million records, or let's say 600 million records. Okay, you may have 600 million records up to 2009, and 2010 you added 200, so there will be 800 million records in a tables. Okay, there may be 800 million records in a table. Now in this, the users who are updating and inserting the data, right, they will not be updating the old data. They might need up to, currently let's say they are in 2010, they might need only data up to 2009. They might not need the prior year data, right? If in the banks also you might be seeing, see, when you go to the, when you open your account, you'll be seeing recent transactions, right? They might give up to like 30 to 60 days, 1 year transaction something, or 5 years, basically normally I'm saying based on requirements, right? So in the same way here, even though they are like 100 million records, like they are like 800 million records, out of 800 million records they might update only 3 to 400 million records. Let's say they will updating only 300 million records. Okay, rest 500 million records are, they will not be updating. Okay, they don't need anything, the users don't need about the old data, right? Who are going to update the old data? No one will update the old data. So here you just update the recent last 2 years data, that's it. Now I can't do anything, I can't do this way. Just delete the old data, delete all the data prior to 2009, so that you will have the data for 2009 and 2010. Then what happens when the eye level people, when they want to build a report, they want to see the total sales for 2000 to 2010, they want to see the total sales, how much we increased from 2000 to 2010. For that purpose they need the data, so you can't delete that, because the business users will, end users, the vice president, they always need the old data, historical data, for analysis, to check, okay, what is the total quantity, what is the total number of sales for region from 2000 to 2010. They want to analyze the data, how much have we increased, okay, what is the total uh, sales that we increase for each year, okay, like that they want to analyze it. So for doing that purpose, definitely they need the history data. But for the users, they don't need, they just need only 2009 and 2010. Okay. So, but the table has up to 10 years. Because of this, the users, it will take more time. When they are having some 800 million records, when they want to update, it will take more time. Update and select, insert also. Okay. And the business users, okay, whoever wants to pull the data for reports, for them also it will take more time, because there are something like hundreds of million records. Okay, then what comes next is that, so this is the old one. Okay, they are having 50 users, I'm writing here. 10 business users. 10 business users for reports. Report users. I'll write as report users. Okay. So totally there are 800 million records in this. Okay, there are 800 million records. So what concept comes here is that, so it has data from 2000 to 2010. Okay, what is the concept we will be having here is that whatever the data business users need, okay, or else they are 800 million, right? They'll move just all the 800 million records into one tables, different tables. Okay, they'll move all the 800 records into tables. Okay, like history, it's a kind of history. Okay, all 800 million records. Now what happens when after moving the 800 million records, they will delete all the historical data up to like now currently it is 2000 to 2010, right? So they will move all the data from 2000 to 2010. Now here, instead of, so they'll just have the data from 2008 to 2010. That's it. They will remove all the old data because already you had copied the history, right? So now, since you add the history, whichever the business users reports, right? Whoever wants to see the data, they will directly access the data from this. They will access the data from this because it has historical data, right? They will access from this. And whichever user wants to update or insert the data, they will directly, because now it might have only 200 300 million records. That's it. Okay, it might have only 300 million records or 500 million, whatever it may be. Okay, it might have less records. So when they have less records, the user search will be faster, because previously both users and business users, like the people who are building the reports and the people, business users and business users, and users is nothing but the people who will insert and update data. Business users is nothing but the people who are going to analyze the data. Okay, so both are accessing the same database. That is the one thing. So because of that, the tables may be logged, and users here, when the user runs a report, at the same time the table might be logged by some other person. Then the user will not be. It will be in the wait process until the table will get released, right? Until the table gets released, that user will be in the wait process. So the data requested by the user, business user, it might take more time because of the locks on the table. Okay, but now that all will be reduced. So the business users, they can directly access the history data. Okay, and the users, they can access this one. So here the deadlocks has been reduced. There will be no, see here, since both are using different data, so there will be no deadlocks, right? At the same time, the users, 50 users, who are there here, the users, they can easily update and insert the data because there are only few records, right? At the same time, the end users, they can easily get the data without no time, because they can write a queries and get the data faster, because there is no need for them, right? There is no need for them to wait, because they got a separate thing, right? This is a scenario. So now, and what they are doing, so let's say I have loaded the data up to 2014 10 30, okay, or 1020. I have loaded the data up to 2014 1020 full load. Then after that, what I will do, every nightly, so in the SSIS we have seen the incremental, right? Every nightly the user may add some 200k records. Okay, every day I may get 200k records. Okay, then what I'll do, whatever the records are newly added or updated, I'll just get them and update them in the database nightly. I'll just update whatever the data I'll get from this, I'll just update them nightly. Okay, so here, so I might have the data in different format. Okay, let's say, so now I'll be adding 800 million plus 200k records, 200,000 records. K is nothing but 200,000, right? So 800 million records plus whatever the records I added after 2014. Let's say 2000 on 2014 1021, they added 200k records. So I'll just load so once they add at the nightly process, I'll load them everything into the history. So next on 2014 1022 they added 188k records. So I'll just update them with the history, so that I'll be having the data, right? But the scenario is that I'll not be having updated data in the history. I'll just have only 1 day lagging, right? I'll always be 1 day lagging from the original data. Are you able to get my point? Hello, Vinay and Kundan? Okay, yeah. So now, whatever the process you are having, this one, right? This is nothing but OLTP, online transactional processing. Online transactional processing means you will have the updated data here. Okay, in this OLTP, always the tables will be normalized. You will have the normalized tables in the OLTP. Okay, you will have the normalized tables, and here whoever the business, they will directly access the data. BC, this OLTP will have the data, every up to date data. It will be having up to date, because the users, they will be directly updating and deleting the data from the OLTP itself, right? Done. And wherever you are storing history, right? Wherever you are storing the history, okay, this is nothing but the OLAP, online analytical processing. Okay, online OLTP means online transactional processing. OLAP is nothing but online analytical processing. Okay, so now you have seen in the OLTP, I might or might not or not have the history, because up to 2010 I'm using the OLTP itself. I don't have any data warehouse, right? So I'll be just loading in the same OLTP database. So I'm at that time I might have a history, but after when I have that more data, okay, then I have moved everything to the different database. So because that's the reason OLTP may or may not have the history. OLAP will have the history, because I moved this history is nothing but OLAP only. I have named it as history, but it is a OLAP. Okay, it will have history. OLAP will have history. Next, this is the first point. Second point, OLTP is the normalized tables. OLTP will have the normalized tables. OLAP is that they will take this normalized, they will little bit do denormalization. They do the denormalization and they load the data into the, see, in the OLAP, let's say you got the two tables. It doesn't mean that the two tables should be exactly loaded into the OLAP. No, they will change some structure, they will change some table format or something, and then they will load into the OLAP. Okay, so now this is the thing. Third one. Okay, so here OLTP will have up to date. The data in the OLTP will be up to date. Data up to date. Okay, because it will have the data up to date. But whereas OLAP, it might be lagging. Normally, general scenario, here we are loading 1 day. Sometimes they will be loading like 2 hours or 3 hours. Accordingly, they will be updating the OLAP. So now it might be lagging. It will not have the exact up to date data in the OLAP. Okay, OLAP will not have the up to date data. Are you able to get my point? Hello? Okay, this is the difference between OLTP and OLAP. Okay, so OLAP is nothing but the data warehouse. Okay, OLAP data warehouse is nothing but a place where you will be storing all the historical data and everything. Okay, that is nothing but the data warehouse. Even see, OLTP, you may call it as OLTP, or OLTP also as a data warehouse, if when you have all the historical data accordingly. Okay, are you able to get my point? So this is the OLTP and OLAP. Huh? Remember carefully, this is the OLTP and OLAP. Now I'll explain one more. So we loaded the data from OLTP into OLAP. Okay, in the OLAP I said OLAP is nothing but the denormalized. So OLAP is divided into two types. One is the relational OLAP and multidimensional OLAP. Sorry, OLAP. Okay, multidimensional OLAP. Okay, so whatever we discussed, the normalized tables, that all, okay, we discussed, right? So that is nothing but the relational OLAP. Okay, so whatever the data you get from the OLTP, you load it into the OLAP. That mostly 99% or mostly majority of the time you will be loading into the ROLAP. Okay, relational online analytical processing. R stands for relational. Okay, so you will be loading the data into relational. Done. That is the ROLAP. And so let's say now ROLAP having 800 million records. Plus I got some records, right? 800 million records. I got 180 and 200 records here. I got 200 records. I got 188 records. Okay, like that the data here will be keep on increasing. So let's say I got like 900 million records. The data increased to 900 million records in ROLAP. And let's say the user, see, whenever the business users, when they want the data, they don't see in detail. Okay, detail in the sense, see, I'm having, okay, this is a company. Company is having location 1, say location 2. Okay, so location 1 is having some 10 million records. It is having transactions. Okay, it is having 10 million. Location 2, sorry, location 2 is having something like 20 million records. Here the business users, end users, okay, they'll not see, they'll not go and they don't want to see each and every record. Just they want to see total sales per year, in that year total sales per month, or total sales at week level, or total sales at day level. That's it. They want to see a total amount. That's it. They will never see the like detail. Okay, they'll never see, like you, in the Walmart they'll be having many purchases, there will be many transactions on day-to-day basis. Okay, the business users, they'll never see, okay, what this guy has purchased, what that guy, they will never see that. They'll just see, okay, this location, for each item, how many of them, what is the total quantity they sold for each item at item level. Okay, they might be seeing, okay, what is the total sales for, how many do they say, how many bread packets did I sell. Okay, at the same time, how many pants did I sell. Okay, well, how many plates, or you'll be having towels and some stuff, right, clothing. Okay, how many of them did I sold for this day. They'll go at the high level. They will not go and see like what this guy has purchased, what this guy has, but they will never see that. They will see, okay, what is the total quantity I sold for this product, that for this at month level, what is the total quantity I sold for last month, what is the total quantity I sold for this month. Okay, or else previous month. So it will be the high level. They will always see, whenever you want to do that way, you will always use aggregate function. You will sum the data at month level, you will sum the data at the year level. Okay, this is a scenario that I'll have. Okay, so there is a company ID. I'll just open the new one. Okay, I got the company ID, year, month. Okay, year, month. So company ID 101, or amount or date. I'll have the date and amount. So here is 2014. 2014, 2014, 2014, 2014. Okay, month is 11122, 22 like that. Date is like I'll just give 2014 01 10, 2014 02 01 20, 2014 01 30, like this. Date, I got amount 20, 30, 25, like this I got. Okay, the users, they will not see, they will not see this total, just they will see total sales for month 2014 month 1. What is the total sales for month 1? 20 plus 30, 50, 75. Okay, that's it. For month 1 I got the total sales of 75. That's it. They'll not go and see record, like they'll not go and see detailed records. Okay, always the business users, they will not see, because when they want to analyze, they want to see what is the sales for this month and last month. Accordingly they can analyze, right? Not going and looking everything, just they will sum up. So in order to do that, you will do aggregates, right? So if the business users wants to get the data, what they do in the reports, let's say they are like 100 reports. Now my company has been grown. Previously I got only 10 business users running work. Now there might be some 100 users or 100 business users who wants to access the data for reports, and there might be some hundreds of reports running daily. Okay, so now for each and every report, they will write some query, they will get the data, they will do aggregate, based on the month on anything. Okay, they will do aggregate based on the month or week or year. Accordingly they will be doing. So for every time when I get the data, let's say there is a table, single table. On the single table, 100 different people are getting the data from a single table, and they are performing the same calculation again and again. So let's say user 1, okay, he pulls the data, he performs aggregate. User 2, he also pulls the same data, but that aggregate data, whichever the data user 1 has aggregated, right, he will not store anywhere. Okay, so user 2 again, he needs to write some aggregate queries to pull the same data. And user 1, if he wants to run the data, if he wants to pull the data again, next time you should again run that aggregate queries. So that query will go and pull the data. It will sum up based on month level or year level accordingly, and it will display. Here, if there are 100 users who wants to pull the same data again and again, and in order to do the aggregation, right, if you want to do a sum of the data, it will take more time, because there are some millions of records in the data. So it will always take more time for them. Okay, it will always take more time. So, and the performance, since there will be 100 users, so let's say for each user, let's say user 1, for running a query, it may take 10 minutes. And when he wants to run the same query again after 10 minutes, then also it takes the same 10 minutes only. After 2 hours, if you want to run the same query, then also because when you run the query, it pulls the data, it needs to sum the data, it needs to display you, right? And that data will not store anywhere. Again, next time when you want, again you need to run the query, it will run. So there's a lot of waste of time. So for this purpose, then they introduced the concept called MOLAP. What the MOLAP does is that, okay, after ROLAP, so MOLAP will take the data from ROLAP. It will do the aggregate data based on your requirements. You may want the data at region, okay, like region. Inside the region you will have states. Inside the states you will have cities, right? City, inside the city you will have counties or something, okay. Inside the city you might have some county, or sorry, county is higher level, right? Inside the county you will have city, okay. Inside the county you will have city, so that the users might need the data. So the data should be aggregated. Aggregated means summing. You need to aggregate the data at region level, you need to aggregate the data at the state level, county level and city level. This is one scenario I am saying. The other scenario may be, it may be year, it may be month, a year, quarter, okay, year, quarter, month, or weeks, like that. So you need to, so whenever the user may need the aggregate data at year level, he might need the data at month level, quarter level, or he might need the data at month level, he might need the data at week level. So whenever he needs the data, you should go and pull the data from the table, and he needs to do aggregate on that. He needs to aggregate the data. So every time he does, it's a waste of time, because he is doing the, let's say the data is up to 2010, right? 2000, now that it is up to 2012. In that 2012, he might be getting the data from 2000 to 2012, right? In that, up to 2000 only, up to 2010 only, from 2010 to 2012 only, the data might change. But prior to this, the data will never change, even though you need to do aggregation again and again for the same data again and again. So then what they did, this aggregation, they pre-calculate this all aggregations and store them in multidimensionally, that is nothing but cubes. Okay, so here, so they will whatever the data they are. So here in the OL, in the relational OLAP, you will have the data up to detail. You will have each and every record. Let's say my company has 100 transactions, 100,000 transactions, 100 transactions. You will have that all 100 transactions in this OLTP. Oh, sorry, relational OLAP. But when you come to the cubes, you will not have that 100 transaction in detail. You will have it higher level. You will have it month level. Okay, like you will not have each and every time. You'll just have, okay, month level total sales. That's it. So you are going to aggregate that 100 transaction and load it into the cubes. Are you able to get my point? Hello? So in the cubes, you will always have a pre-calculated data. Okay, so when the users wants to get the data, they directly get the data, and there will not be much time. They see here, they will directly get the data from the cubes. That's it. They will not do any aggregate, because in the cubes itself, the data is aggregated and it is stored in the cubes. So it saves most of the time for the users. Just get because now the users also, there is no need for them to aggregate the data, just because in the cubes the data is stored in the pre-calculated data. That's it. The user, they will directly get the data, and they'll directly pull the data from the cubes and they will use it. And here there is no need for them to aggregate the data again and again, because already the data is aggregated. Okay, that's it. Okay, so that's the difference between. So always, in order to build a cube, 99% they will always use the OLAP as a source, relational OLAP as a source. Okay, sometimes, very rarely, they will also pull the data from OLTP also. Sometimes they might use based on the OLTP also, they might pre-calculate the data and store it. That is the one thing. Or else they will store the data, they will create the pre-calculated data on ROLAP and store them. So depends on the scenario. Are you able to get my point? Okay, so now I'll just stop this video.